Welcome back, Shalloners. Well, you guys wore me down. You wore me down. We're going to talk about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard today and their horrible mess of a relationship. But the too long didn't read of this is that they're both kind of shitty. But I'm going to tell you some behind the scenes things about both Johnny and Amber that you guys have not heard and how this relates to narcissists. Because narcissist, it's one of those words that we think we know what it is, but then when we encounter one, we're like, oh, but they're just the life of the party. Like, we don't really understand how they fit in our life and what it feels like when they get our claws into us. So we're going to break down the types of narcissists, the tactics that they use, how this relates to Johnny and Amber, and most importantly, how to escape. I have 3 concrete steps that I know from personal experience, concrete exercises you can do with a pencil and paper to help you get out of the narcissist quagmire, break free, and get into a healthy relationship. But first, just want to remind you guys to follow me on Instagram at ShallonXO. You guys suggested this video. I'm so excited for this topic. It was such a great one. Also find me on InfStream. It's a sexy new platform where, unlike YouTube, which won't let us talk about anything spicy, InfStream, we can talk about sex all day long. We've got a kissing tutorial, a hand job tutorial, and later this week, we're gonna do a BJ tutorial. It's all very safe for work. Don't worry, it's not like pervy and weird. So head on over there to get a little spice. And we'll be right back in a second. Let's take a word from our sponsor. Hey, Shalloners. You know, I used to think I knew what rage was. I did not until I bought expensive ass Apple AirPods and lost one in the seats of a plane, never to come back to me again. I cried and then I ate. And then I made the switch to a better product. Raycon wireless earbuds. I love these things. They are so much better. First of all, they're so much more affordable. They pair just as easily. They have a better phone call mechanism. And hello, they come in cute colors like this. I mean, who doesn't love adorable little rose gold? They come in a ton of different colors. They lay flat. They pair better. Did I mention they pair better? They lay flat in your ear. Ah, wonderful. I have this in the wrong one. There we go. And best of all, they don't fall out. You can actually sleep in them. You can do sports in them. You can run. They're not going to bounce out. And they come with a ton of other little like fitting tips. Because Apple, it's like, whoa, this isn't the size of your ear hole. Too bad. Enjoy losing your $200 AirPods. Not anymore. Not ever again. And right now there's a special deal just for Shalligators. So head to this link, click the link in the bio, get yourself some Raycon earbuds and upgrade your life and save your sanity. Eat because you're happy, not because you're crying on a plane. See you soon.
Get 15% off the everyday E25 Raycon earbuds. Just go to buyraycon.com/ShallonXO.
So let's get into Johnny and Amber. So right now, Johnny's embroiled in this libel lawsuit with like a UK newspaper. I don't really care about the ins and outs of it. And I'm also not going to break down the tit for tat, who did what, who cut off whose finger, who pooped in whose bed. Can you believe that these are things that are making pooped in the bed? Oh my God, who threw what at whom? It's just such a mess, and it is so mutually insane and toxic. And when you guys would suggest this topic or message me about Johnny and Amber, it's like, who do you think's the bad guy? And I'm like, dude, both of them. Both of them. We always want a hero and a villain. It's just how we're wired. We want to know who is good and who is bad. And so I think that's why the public is so fascinated with Johnny and Amber. It's like, wait, one day she's the victim, one day he's the victim. They are both the perpetrators and they are both the victims because they are both fucking crazy and so toxic and both abusive. We forget that 2 crappy people can find each other. They can find each other. They both looked at each other as an easy mark. And it's like, bro, you marked up the wrong tree because you're both insane. You're both insane. But the reason we're covering this now, and I refuse to do it, partly the reason I refuse is because I'm not doing videos about women who lie about abuse. I'm just not. We're never going to do that. We're never going to say that that is common. Because it isn't. It is not. And we're not going to give any clout to that idea at all. But Johnny said some things recently, and I was like, oh, okay. Now we're up the Shalligator alley. Talked about Amber as calculating, narcissistic, and sociopathic. He said, she was extremely friendly to me and keen to tell me about the breakup with her former partner she'd recently gone through. If I'd known what I know now, I would have seen the red flags as warning signs, but I did not. She was beautiful, seemingly incredibly interested in me and my work, and I fell for it. She bombed me with what appeared to be love. It was not until much later that I understood she had an agenda, namely to get married to me in order to progress her own career and or to benefit financially, and she knew how to bring it about. For example, at the time, she repeatedly told me how much she admired my films. However, later in our relationship, she admitted she'd never seen any of my films. She knew what she wanted, and I was an easy target. He said that their time together was incredibly unhappy. He said she's a calculating, diagnosed borderline personality. She's sociopathic, she's a narcissist, and she is completely emotionally dishonest. I am now convinced that she came into my life to take me for anything worth taking and then destroy what remained of it. She continuously belittled him, he said, called him a fat old man. It's funny. Called him a horrible father, and pooped in their bed. Yep. He said, I'm from a Southern family and rules were instilled in me from birth by my mother. You would be a Southern gentleman or would get beaten into you. So he says, integrity, dignity, honesty, and respect for women. These were characteristics of a gentleman and characteristics that I was always expected to have. As part of this, I feel it is a strong and central part of my moral code. I would never strike a woman under any circumstance, under any time. I find it simply inconceivable and it would never happen. Take that last part as you will. Who knows if he hit her? Again, it doesn't really matter. We don't care about these two. We don't care about these people. We don't care about their lives. We care about what we can benefit from it. And what he said about Amber, calculating, narcissistic, borderline personality disorder, purposeful in her pursuit of his lifestyle, and purposeful equally in her devaluation and discarding of him once she got what she wanted. Man, haven't we experienced that? Haven't we experienced the guy who fucked us and never called us again? Haven't we experienced the friend who only was nice to us when she wanted something and would pepper all of her compliments with subtle jabs to tear us down, who bombed us with love, whether it was a friend or a family member or a relationship or whatever, and then withheld it and made us feel crazy? These dynamics are repeated so often, and narcissists do it purposefully. So we're going to get into the different kinds of narcissists because there's 3 different kinds, there's 3 different levels. And like I said, we're going to talk about how to escape all of these different levels. We've talked before about Johnny Depp's history. We did it in Retro Bay Week about him and Winona Ryder and also Kate Moss and how he really manipulated those women, how young they were, how impressionable they were, and how he really messed them up for a very long time. And it's funny because one of the big things people have used to show Johnny as the hero in this situation or as the victim is, well, Kate Moss and Winona Ryder coming out of the woodwork to defend him. That to me doesn't mean Johnny's a good guy. That to me shows how long trauma can last. That shows that when a guy fucks you up, when you're 19 years old, you're a virgin, you're sexually inexperienced, he's older, he's got all this clout, all this popularity, that trauma will literally last for the rest of your life. And that's why when you guys submit questions to me about this older guy and I'm young and he's 26 and I'm 18, I'm like, he could fuck you up for years, girl. And I'm not just saying that. Look at Winona Ryder. Look at Kate Moss. Is Winona Ryder, has she gone on to have all these happy, healthy relationships? No. Kate Moss is still a drug addict. It's not well, she's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she really is killing life. They're successful in some ways. Personally and emotionally, I wouldn't categorize them as such, and I put a lot of that blame on Johnny Depp. So I don't think that they're this wonderful exemplar and character witness for this dude. Let's talk about Amber. I know some people that know Amber. I'm not going to reveal much. Hi, boo. I love you. I hope you don't mind me using these examples. One thing that she said she witnessed is Amber's aggressiveness with other girls. Amber's bisexual. I'm bisexual. And I have personally experienced very aggressive, creepy men, as we all have. And I've also experienced very creepy and aggressive women. And I don't think just because you have the same equipment that I do, you have a license to treat me in a way that if you had a penis, I would be calling the cops. And Amber does act like this, trying to get in between couples. How much can I pay you to have a threesome with you guys? Inserting herself into situations, things that would get a man punched in the fucking jaw, getting really up close, physically close to someone, grabbing her by the arm. It's hey, Back off. Just because you're pretty and you're a girl and you might even weigh less than the chick you're trying to wheel, that's not acceptable behavior. And we as society can't start giving passes to people because they're in some sort of minority group. Oh, well, they can't possibly be blah, blah, blah because they're a blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. I don't think so. Don't sell that shit with me. No. Amber also has exhibited what we're going to get into, the Dark Triad. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. Should we talk about it now? Okay, fine, we can talk about it now. Well, no, I want to go through the different types of narcissists first, because it's important to realize when we get entangled with a narcissist, they come, like I said, in various shades. And their behavior is so subtle sometimes that it's easy for us to explain it away. And it's easy for them to explain it away. But you know who does the majority of explaining? Us. One thing I want you guys to take away from this video is your own culpability. I don't mean this in a bad way. But how we give a narcissist the keys to our kingdom. And then we wonder how they got in. How did you get inside the walls? Well, babe, I handed you the keys, right? And we do that because we're good people, because we're trusting people, because we are not narcissists. Another thing I want you to take away from this is that a narcissist, like a true malignant narcissist, who's like very much on this end of the spectrum, there is not a wonderful, warm, hurt soul under there. There is evil. And you can call evil whatever you want. You can dress it up. I don't believe evil is about intentions. Fuck intentions. What's the intention of a drunk driver? Probably not to kill somebody. That doesn't mean it isn't so. And that doesn't mean the consequences aren't just as grave as if they went out there with their car, floored it, and tried to run people down in a farmer's market. Consequences are consequences. Character is behavior. It's not intention. So let's go through the three different types of narcissists. You have passive, passive-aggressive, and aggressive. Obviously, this goes like low to high, the aggressive ones. So a passive narcissist, I'm sorry if this light keeps flickering. I don't know what's going on with my lights today. A passive narcissist is probably not someone who's going to ruin your life. They're just kind of the run-of-the-mill, self-absorbed asshole. The person who's going to talk about themselves in a conversation. They're going to commandeer everything at brunch, They live on sort of this first floor of the narcissism tower. This is how one doctor described it. They're still accessible and they're still involved in relationships. And the doctor who wrote an article on this, they talked a lot about the movie Tangled, the Disney movie. And because it really is a really good portrait in narcissism that Mother Gothel, is that how you say it? I haven't seen it. Is like a very good archetype of the ascendant passive-aggressive behavior. But the hero, like the love interest, what's his name? I don't know, the dude. Hopefully he didn't have a name. They don't need one. He represents the passive narcissist. And a passive narcissist can change. They can be sort of like woken up, gotten out of their self-absorption spiral, and they can transform. And so if we have to be around any kind of narcissist, and maybe we are this kind because, again, we all exhibit all of these traits in various form and various shades. But the difference between the really malignant and aggressive ones is they are doing this purposefully. We might not want to hurt other people. These people do. I'm just going to turn this light off because I don't know what... You have one job. It's just to stay on. Oh, that's dark and sucky. All right, well, I'm sorry. Guys. I'm in a hotel room. I'm upstate traveling around Montana for a little bit. So you have the passive narcissist, okay? Just the general annoying people in your life. Then you have the passive aggressive narcissist. When you encounter a narcissist, this is called the idealization phase. This is where they love bomb you, but they also gaslight you. Every compliment is kind of backhanded. You look so good in that. I know you think you've gained weight, but you still look good. Comments that seem like a compliment, but then you're like, wait, what? And then you know what you tell yourself? Oh my God, I'm overthinking this. I'm being so crazy. So much of the time, gaslighting happens without anyone else's help. We are perfectly able to gaslight ourselves, and an effective narcissist will help us do that. They will create a foundation where you can no longer trust your judgment, you can no longer trust your intuition, and so they don't even have to say, you are being so fucking crazy right now. We're saying it to ourselves. It's like they've created this machine that now just goes of itself. So now they just have to drop this little bomb, and you can be like, oh my God, I'm being so crazy. What? They don't even have to put that effort in. Wow. This goes back to giving toxic people keys to our own kingdom, right? So in this idealization phase, they're going to love bomb you. You are so fabulous. You're so this. Do you think maybe you've gotten chubby? Do you think maybe blah, 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 blah? It's always undercut with stuff, but not right away. So beware of this love bombing. Because when a toxic person comes along and when you're in a vulnerable place, when you feel a little bit broken, that person is going to feel like true love. I posted a quote on my Instagram. It's probably still up there. I don't think it's expired. That sometimes chemistry, all it is, it's not actual healthy chemistry. It's the ghost of a past trauma. That you are reminded of someone who hurt you and now you're like, holy shit, I have the chance to do it over again. I was in this situation like a few weeks ago. This guy I was dating, I liked him a lot, and he's like, I have issues in my life I need to sort out. And all I could think was, oh my God, a project. I was so drawn to that dynamic. I did not go for it. I realized what it was. I'm like, I am not attracted to this dynamic. I am attracted to the ghost of this dynamic. This dynamic mirrors my ex-boyfriend. Mirrors my ex-boyfriend exactly. We could fall right back into a codependent parent-child relationship. I know exactly what to do. And I'm like, okay, it didn't work with my ex. I know it can work with this new guy. I've learned more now. I know more about human behavior and psychology and how to get him to where he needs to be. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, Shallon, delete this number, delete this dynamic. You cannot do this. You work so hard to get out of that last entanglement, out of that last relationship. Why are you signing up for this again? And I didn't. And it was so painful. It was so painful. Instead of being like, I'm gonna help you with this, I was like, you know what? Good luck, work on these things, come back to me when you're a whole person. And that was the most painful sentence I think I've ever had to say. When I was not buying into my typical history, into the pattern of narcissism, not that he was necessarily foisting on me, but what could have easily become that, because when you get into something codependent, when you think you can save someone, you're like, here are the keys to my soul. Feel free to make a mess. I am a mess. It's what I want. I was going to give complete control of my heart and my emotion and my moods over to someone else. No. I decided not to. And again, it hurt because what was fueling that was not something healthy. It was something unhealthy. And when we deny ourselves repeating of that trauma, it's our fear-based brain that's like, no, please give me this distraction. It's like a drug withdrawal, right? It's give me my heroin, give me my meth, give me my pills. I don't want to go through this sickness. I don't want to have to rinse myself of this addiction. But I did. And it sucked. And it truly felt like withdrawals. Like I was miserable for days, miserable. And then it's like this fever broke and I was like, I dodged such a bullet. And like, who knows, maybe he'll get everything together and things will work itself out and even out and we can come back together as two whole people, not fragments with one person trying to fix the other, but maybe not. So then we move in to the last phase. Right? The key phase, aggressive narcissism. This is where someone is going to be abusive, insulting, or worst of all, they're going to stonewall you. I'm not even going to talk to you. You're being so fucking crazy right now. Block, delete, unfollow. It has been categorized by psychologists as a form of abuse. The silent treatment truly is a form of abuse. Because what you do is you become so crazy, you go so crazy and you overthink that again, they no longer need to gaslight you. You're doing fine on your own. You got it. And then you go so nuts and you blow up trying to get their attention and trying to chase them, which is exactly what they want. They get to turn around and be like, you're being so crazy. I literally didn't say anything to you. I haven't even said anything. I haven't even talked to you in a week and look at how insane you're going. Do you even need me for this conversation? And you can't talk yourself out of what they're saying. This is the subtle, sinister magic of a narcissist. You believe them. Well, I don't know. He's right. I mean, he hasn't talked to me for a week and I'm screaming on his porch, blah, blah, blah. What? How did this happen? It happened because they made it happen. This was all very, very, very purposeful, okay? There's another aspect of narcissists that you need to be aware of. Because when we think of a narcissist, we think of someone like grandiose and bragging and self-promoting, but they come in a different form. Victims. Oh the victims. There's actually recent studies about what they call virtuous victims and people who engage in what is known as victim signaling. The way like virtue signaling, is a thing. It's like performative, oh, I'm so woke and I'm wearing all these shirts and I'm hashtagging all these things, but it's like, but what the fuck are you doing behind the scenes? That pathology, that kind of behavior is indicative of a very, very scary thing. So virtuous victims are people who get off on the victim narrative. We see shades of that with Taylor Swift, and Amber Heard is an absolute exemplar of this. Now look, I'm not going to dispute that Amber was abused. I'm not going to dispute that Johnny was abused. But Amber, I don't know, but this is the thing. They really have both exhibited very, very similar traits. So they're doing something called the Dark Triad. When you have a really serious fake victim, essentially, what's underneath that, studies have shown, is the Dark Triad. What is the Dark Triad? It is just as bad as it sounds. So it's a combination of three things, right? Psychopathy, no remorse, no empathy. Machiavellianism, which if you aren't familiar, read The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Machiavellianism is using people, how to use situations and people to your advantage and exploit people. And again, right? We all have sort of shades of this. It's like, well, I don't have empathy for every single person and every single issue. I look at certain situations like, how can I use this to my advantage? Those are healthy in small doses. And the third part of the Dark Triad is narcissism. Bragginess, self-aggrandizement, using other people for your gain, needing to be the center of attention. And again, that's healthy in some instances and in some doses. But people who exhibit the Dark Triad, this is over the top. So when you have someone who's like virtuous victim, they're going to be demonstrative and performative in their victimhood, right? I'm going to perform how woke I am on Instagram. But again, what am I doing behind the scenes? If all I'm doing behind the scenes is rioting and smashing in windows, I'm part of the dark fucking triad, okay? Because you're using that victim status to actually abuse and hurt other people and oppress other people. I would rather someone not post anything online and be living their life and helping people behind the scenes, because even though it doesn't perform well, it's not about how it performs, it's about how it feels to them. They're not just wearing a shirt that says like, I support fair trade coffee or whatever it is. They're simply supporting it behind the scenes, and they know that their opinion and their virtue can be private, right? And it's not to say everyone who's talking about things online is part of the Dark Triad or they're fake victims or they're fake virtuous, but it's important to realize that some people are. And again, that's what's so tricky about these things. It's not always black and white. We have to really evaluate every situation, every person, and be like, are you a true malignant narcissist? Are you just kind of the run-of-the-mill jerk who can't really let anyone else have the spotlight? And when we look at some of this stuff that Johnny has said about Amber, like, oh, she was keen to tell me about the breakup with her former partner she'd gone through. That was one of the first things she did with him, is position herself as a victim. Why? Victims want pity. Why? Because pity makes you malleable. Pity makes you shapeable. Have you ever called someone in a wheelchair an asshole? Me neither, even though probably some of them are. There's assholes everywhere. They're diffuse in society. So she was extremely calculating. And now, knowing what we know about narcissists and the different levels, let's go back over some of these quotes. She was beautiful, seemingly incredibly interested in me and my work, and I fell for it. Johnny even said that he would compliment, or she would compliment all of his movies. Oh my God, I love your movies. And then later in their marriage, she's like, I've never even fucking seen them. There was love bombing, right? He even said she love bombed me. It was not until much later I understood she had an agenda. Get married, to progress her career, to benefit me financially. What does that tell us about narcissists? They have a plan, and none of their behavior is accidental. This is purposeful. And why do we need to know that? Because we have to stop telling ourselves that they don't mean to be doing this. They don't mean to be doing this. Character is not intention. It is behavior. So let's talk about how to get out of these scenarios with these people. This one bae. How do we get out of these scenarios? Okay. Now, everyone has different sort of theories. From my experience and from what I've experienced, this is how I got out of it. Ask yourself, what would this dynamic look like if I was not the bigger person? Being the bigger person is something that we, especially as women, are conditioned to do. Be polite, be nice. It doesn't matter if you hate someone's guts. You're going to smile. You're going to offer them coffee, right? I have put politeness way on the back burner. Politeness gets women killed. It honestly does. Sure, you can use my phone. Okay, I guess you can come up for a drink. I don't feel good about this. I'm going to talk to that Uber driver. All right. No, he can have my number. No, girl. Nope. I'm fine with someone considering me rude. I'd rather be rude and alive, rude and emotionally healthy, rude and protected, than be seen as a pushover by toxic people. Because a healthy person isn't going to view your boundaries as a bad thing, right? If you're a woman getting onto an elevator and there's just one man in there, you can be like, I'll let you just wait for the next one. A non-predator man will be like, okay. A predator man be like, oh, are you scared of me? I won't bite. They're not going to like the fact that you're pushing back against them because they want control. That's what a narcissist wants, control. You are a toy that exists on their shelf. You are a character in their play. You don't have a play of your own. You don't have a shelf of your own. Everyone in this world is simply a tool for their use. That's it. It's a big giant buffet and they're the only one with a plate. So ask yourself, if you stop being the bigger person in this dynamic, what would happen? What would happen if you matched his tone of voice? What would happen if you matched his behavior? If you stayed out all night, if you did a bunch of drugs, if you lied, if you manipulated, if you were on Tinder, if you simply didn't speak to him in a neutral, effective, communicative way? I had to go through that with somebody else a little while ago, and I'm like, I am communicating with you at the highest, most healthy possible level, and you're literally talking to me like you're 7. And if I started speaking to you the way you're speaking to me, this would be done. And when I said that out loud, I was like, this is done. This is done. Because I cannot be the parent-child in this dynamic. And maybe he was a narcissist, maybe not. It doesn't have to be that serious. It was simply like, you're not on my level. You're not communicating to my level. You clearly don't want the same things. I want peace. You want victory. So go in your mind and say, really, what would this look like if I behaved exactly the way this person would be behaving? If I did the same thing, would we just be off a cliff? If the answer is yes, you are off a cliff. You are off a cliff. You are steering a car that is sailed off into oblivion. There is nothing underneath those tires right now, baby girl. And that is so painful to look at. It's so painful. But isn't it more painful to not look at it? It's painful today. It's going to be agony 3 months from now, 3 years from now, 30 years from now. It's not going to get better because there's nothing underneath that behavior of theirs that's positive or healthy. Oh, but they're just broken. They're just hurt. Who fucking cares? Are you a rehab for a broken man? No. Are you an emotional super glue? I'm not. Not anymore. So stop looking for the good in people. This is what I found super helpful. I tend to look for the good in people, and worse than that, I tend to assume good. We have one good date. Oh my God, he's capable of 500 more good dates. We have one really bonded conversation. Oh my God, there's so much depth there. Not all the time. I use this example all the time, the talking dog. You can ask a dog a question however you want. You can make a whole PowerPoint presentation. It doesn't matter what you ask a dog, how nicely you do it, whatever, how much that dog loves you, how much you just get along and he loves you. That dog is never going to answer you. Never. He's going to stand there and prance his little feet, and that's all he's ever going to do because that's all he's capable of. We know that with dogs. We say, hey, you can bark and you can snuggle and you can love me, but I know that if I need help in my taxes, you're actually not the one to go to. We understand their limitations. We don't understand limitations on other human beings. We can look at animals, and back to the dog thing, it's like, okay, you know, a husky can pull a sled, a wiener dog can't. I understand that there's a difference between these two things. I'm going to modify my expectations based on what I'm dealing with. And I'm also not going to take it personally. I'm not going to look at that wiener dog and be like, well, if you loved me, you could do my taxes. And since you can't, I'm the one who sucks. I'm the deficient one. You're like, it's got nothing to do with me, bro. It's a wiener dog. We have to look at people like that too. I'm capable of depth and love and commitment and communication. You are too if you're here on this channel. A lot of people aren't. I would say, in fact, the majority of people aren't. My therapist friend, she's like, only 5% of people are capable of insight. 5%. There's 8 billion people in the world. That's a decent amount of people. But per capita, it's actually not. So someone was like, how many, if you could have any number of subs on your channel, how many would you want? I was like, 5% of the Earth's population, because I only want people here who are capable of insight. right? And if you're here, you probably are. So stop looking for the good. Stop assuming that there is so much good. Look at a snapshot. Don't date nostalgia and don't date potential. And so much of the time, that's what we get caught up in, because that's what the narcissist wants. They want us to remember that love bombing stage. Like, but he planned all these dates, and I mean, he talked about wanting to marry me, and we were gonna name our kids, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I gotta get back there. There is no back there to get, because what that was a hologram. I know, listening to this, you don't want to hear this, because what you think the end of that sentence is when I say these things is, and he didn't love you because you're unlovable. It's the opposite. He didn't love you because he isn't lovable. He is not capable of the emotions that you're capable of. That's the problem. You have a wiener dog who won't do your taxes. That's what you're dealing with. That's what you're dealing with. And that has nothing to do with you. There is no version of ourselves that we could be to engender true love from a narcissist. They are simply not capable of it. They're not capable of it. And that is tragic. It's tragic for them. It's tragic for us. It's just tragic. It sucks all the way around. So if you are caught in that nostalgia or that potential, he said we were going to do all these things, and when he gets this and when he graduates, things are going to be different. I want you to write down what those things feel like, the nostalgia, right? I got caught up with someone one time, and it was so nostalgia based, and I was looking back and I was like, what the fuck am I so fixated on with this dude? Because truly, like, on paper, I couldn't really think of one thing I loved about him, and I realized I was dating the nostalgia. And I was dating the nostalgia of meeting him on a trip, like this really amazing Florida trip, and I was with my girlfriends, and we were having the best time, and I had escaped the New York winter and all this stuff, and I realized that's what I missed. That it was that feeling, and he was just an embodiment of that experience and that feeling that I localized on, because it's easier to fixate on a person. You can maybe get a person back, but you can't get that vacation back. You acknowledge that that's over, that's in the past, it's gone when it's gone. But if I could get him back, then I could reconstitute all of those feelings. I could relive that experience. And it doesn't always work that way. I mean, well, it literally never works that way. So write down what that nostalgia or what that potential feels like. Give it adjectives. It feels exciting. It feels like my life is progressing. It feels like I have purpose. Okay? How can you get that feeling in a healthy way without another person? You want love, right? Because that's probably what you're going to say. Well, what does this guy represent to me? Love. Hello, I fucking want love. Okay. Maybe there's other ways you could buffet out this love. Maybe it's not just going to be one big plate, one big person who gives you everything you need. Maybe it's going to be, I get a little love from church. I get a little love from the dog shelter I volunteer at. There is no better feeling than when a dog prefers you over somebody else. No better feeling in the world. Maybe I can make some new friendships. Maybe I can shore up the friendships I already have. Maybe I can spend more time with my sister or call my grandmother. And maybe this deficiency of love that I have, okay, I think a guy's going to fill it up to here. He won't. We've seen that. Maybe I can fill it all the way up to here, so that I only have this much love that I need fulfilled now. So now when someone comes along, I can evaluate them more neutrally. I'm not starving anymore. I'm not so thirsty and deficient. I've filled up my own tank. It's not an overnight solution, but it is a self-sustaining solution. It is a narcissist-free solution. And that's what we have to drive towards. I want to know your guys' experience with narcissists. Who do you think's to blame for Johnny and Amber? Do you think they're both mutually toxic and insane? Who do you think's career is going to survive? I mean, I think hers is pretty much dead in the water. She's been dropped from the Aquaman franchise, but he's been dropped from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, all y'all need Jesus. All y'all need sober coaches and Jesus or Buddha or somebody. Just, you know what you don't need? To be in public anymore. Go to some island. Well, if you're going to go, don't take your dogs. They're going to quarantine you again. I want to know what you guys have to say, and I want you to find me on Instagram and suggest more video topics, because I love to hear from you guys, and we can do more videos on narcissists for sure. We can talk about this as much as you want. Tell me some celebrity narcissists out there who really strike you as like, damn, having a problem, and we'll get into it. I'll see you later, Shalloners. Bye.